Season 9 of Selling Sunset was dynamite. It was explosive, but this reunion definitely left me with questions and scratching my scalp a little bit. If you guys missed out on my first Selling Sunset Season 9 comprehensive breakdown, make sure that you check that video out because this right here is essentially the part 2 to that video. We're going to break down the Season 9 reunion. We're going to get into what they wore. We're going to get into what they talked about. We're going to get into the Crishell and the Emma of it all. So if you love Selling Sunset, reality TV, pop culture, entertainment videos like this, make sure that you click the subscribe button. You got to click the subscribe button. Ring that notification bell so that you're kept in the loop whenever I upload one of these deep divey, informational, hopefully comedic, pop culture videos. And without further ado, I'm Court and I'm calling it. Let's get into the Selling Sunset Season 9 reunion. Now, a really important fact about the Selling Sunset Season 9 reunion that I want to bring to the forefront is the fact that this reunion was taped, I believe, back in August. It was taped previously, and that, to me, speculation, not confirmation, says this. It says that maybe the network knew that Selling Sunset Season 9 was going to be a very controversial season. We know that shows like Selling Sunset, Too Hot to Handle, The Trust, Real Housewives, Drag Race, these are the kinds of shows that breed a lot of conversations, whether it's positive conversation, whether it's negative conversation, whether that's conversation that really just helps us look at different situations and different kinds of people with a more thorough eye. Selling Sunset definitely falls in the category of shows that makes you think and talk to your friends about it, whether in person or online. And believe me, the network was right. There have been lots of conversations online about the behaviors of Emma, Bree, Mary, even Crishell, the twins. Everyone has been criticized and scrutinized on the Selling Sunset platform since Season 9 has come out, so it seems as though just to sort of get the work done, the reunion was taped ahead of time, so there's no extra drama that could affect the responses of the ladies once they sit on the couch on stage. And to make it clear, I'm not sure whether the ladies have watched screeners beforehand or whether they got a few compilations, maybe the first couple episodes before the reunion was filmed. I'm not sure. So they could be reacting to things that you and I have seen, but they haven't exactly seen in the context of the edited final product yet. Now, before we get into all the yelling and screaming, I want to jump into what each of the ladies wore to this reunion. Crishell looks good. She had sort of like this crystal diamond, very shiny, very regal kind of gown moment, and it very much reads star of the show energy. Next up, we had Emma, and Emma looks good too, y'all. First of all, Emma is a very beautiful woman, but I loved her dress here. It was white, it was pretty, not exactly risky, but I loved the shape of it, and I thought that it fit her body well. Love the normal Emma hair. I thought she looks great. Now, Mary, to me, I don't know if you guys felt the same way. Mary had a very similar vibe to Crishell. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the same designer made Crishell's look and Mary's look. You know, Mary loves a slick back from time to time. And I've noticed that a lot of people have been talking about this Monroe piercing that she had on her face at the reunion. And I just want to say this. My brother is 20 years old, and I just had to explain to him what a Monroe piercing was. Honestly, I just got to say, Mary, you are such a throwback for this Monroe piercing. I gotta give you your 8s on that. Now, Chelsea looked luxurious, expensive in her black look, and to be honest, Chelsea looks good with long hair, but I think she has the perfect face structure to rock short hair. I loved seeing Chelsea in this short black hair. Go ahead, Chelsea. Alana looked cute, you know, invisible, but cute. We move on to Amanza, and I gotta be honest with you guys, Amanza's look wasn't my favorite, but she's a very beautiful woman. You know, she had the pink, blue, yellow situation going on, the little feathers at the bottom. It just seemed a little bit too chaotic and almost a little bit too outgoing for the occasion. Like, girl, we're on a reality TV reunion. We needed to see you in a luxurious, sleek, slinky gown, darling. That's just my opinion. Sandra was there giving us Lady in Red. Honestly, she reminded me of, you remember when Lady Gaga had that all red look on and she had the little crown on and like she couldn't see her face? That's what Sandra's outfit reminds me of. I felt like when Brie saw this look, she was like, yeah, I'm gonna be digging these girls' graves. So let me go ahead and my all black lacy number. I saw the vision. I understood the vision. Go ahead, Brie. I was a really big fan of the reunion set as well. It was basically like a replica of the O Group offices. And I was just at the O Group offices recently. And this was like I mean, it really looked like the O Group offices, but it was a complete set. I don't know how they do that, but it looked great, fantastic. To me, that says Netflix, oh yeah, we got the money, honey. We have Tan France as the host of the Selling Sunset Season 9 reunion. And you know what? I want to say a word on Tan France. And don't get mad at me, y'all, because this may be a hot take. Don't be too hard on Tan France, okay? I've seen a lot of comments saying, well, this reunion would be better if Andy Cohen were hosting it. And let me tell you something. Things are a little bit different for Andy Cohen, I imagine, right? Speculation, not confirmation. Andy Cohen is like the executive producer of The Real Housewives. Like, he's very much embedded in the DNA of that show. And so I'm sure he's able to go off the rails and ask any question that he feels comfortable asking, and he's able to decide what hits the editing room floor, maybe what makes it to air. I'm sure that Andy has a lot more control as a reunion host versus someone like a Tan France. And to my knowledge, Tan France is not part of the production of Selling Sunset. He is not embedded in the DNA of production. He might be asking the juicy questions that you and I want to know. He could be doing his job in that respect. However, it is to my understanding that Jason and maybe even Brett are part of the production in some capacity. So even if Tan France was going off the teleprompter, right? Because I imagine there's teleprompters that's putting up the questions that he needs to ask. I'm sure maybe there's production in his earpieces telling him things that he needs to ask. Maybe he's going off the rails like an Andy Cohen and asking, all sorts of things that you and I want to know the answers to, maybe questions you and I haven't even thought of. However, if those questions open the door to salacious answers that may harm the O Group's business, well, girl, we ain't putting that on Netflix. We are not about to ruin our business for that. I imagine what the thought process would be. So I know y'all are like, Tan France is a bad host. Tan France is a horrible host. Speculation, not confirmation. If I were Tan France, I would want the tea. Know that. But in the same breath, I'm sure Tan France just wants to show up, get that check, and go home. Like, I just don't believe that Tan France is doing the bad job that we think he is when this is an edited television show that, whether some elements of it may be real or not, all of it affects everyone's business on the stage. And these are the things that you have to understand when you sign up for a reality TV show. Your business is gonna be out there. Now that we got outfits and set designs and the host out of the way, girl, let's get into this reunion. This first segment is all about sort of like the easy questions, the fan questions. Tan asked Sandra if she remembered Bree's boundaries of politics, religion, and Mariah. Spoiler alert, she didn't. Sandra says she's close to Mary, Bree, and Alana, not really Crishell or Chelsea, and I imagine we'll see that play out in a future season. Crishell is saying that she watches how people moves. It doesn't really make sense that Crishell will be trying to get close to someone that she sees as eventually, talking bad about her on camera. She brings up the fact that Sandra has made these comments about Crishell's faces. And, Sandra's kind of like, I don't think that that's bad, that I was just saying that you were cold and didn't want to get to know me. I was just, telling the truth. I was just telling, the world my perception of the situation. I can sort of feel as though Crishell is just kind of stepping back from that whole entire Sandra situation. It all came across very, very, very weird. Sandra came in hot, okay? And I don't think that Crishell or Chelsea were really feeling that in the context of the show. They move into a segment where, they open up envelopes with random fan questions that I feel like producers probably, planted in themselves. No shade, I'm just saying this is a thing that happens. This opens the door to Mary saying Bree and Amanza could write books about their lives. Alana rates Bree's style an 8. Bree says Alana is vanilla. Chelsea says that she'd rather close a listing than film a slow-mo walk. Then this brings Tan to sort of force Emma to show off her slow-mo walk, seeing as she's voted as having the best slow-mo walk. This is one of those situations where, as a reality TV personality, and I want to say this to you as potentially you've never been on reality TV before, there are some moments on reality TV or on camera work where you know, 90% of it is fun. And then there's that 10%, maybe I'll even say 95% of it is fun. And then there's that 5%, y'all, that you're just like, oh, I forgot this is work. Watching Emma, and it wasn't that long of a segment, but watching Emma navigate, you know, the slow-mo walk with Tan France, and she's got this long dress on, it all just gave me, Emma was like, I don't want to do this. I'm at work. Let me go ahead and do this. All right, Tan, I'll humor you in this long dress that I'm basically tripping over. And it was a beautiful dress, but I just know, like, Emma, I know you ain't want to do that. And I know you was over it. This was the beginning of the show. Very light, very fluffy. You know, no screaming yet, no drama yet. I mean, guys, little things. Crishell is saying that she would choose Chelsea to be her co-star in a Christmas movie. Chrishell's Australian accent. We get, you know, Amanza and Mary are closer on camera than the show shows. And then it was like, finally, let's get into why we're here today. Girls giving.
Get out right now.
Something that stuck out to me watching this reunion was when they played the montage and the scenes from Girls Giving, and they sort of like show each of the audience members' reactions, like the cast members, you can sort of see them almost kind of like reliving the evening over again. Remember, I'm not sure if they had seen screeners of the season already, but it seemed as though they were like reacting as though they had seen this for the first time. One thing to live it while you're on camera, completely different experience to discuss it, you know, after watching it potentially on camera for the first time. So Nicole comes out, she's got her blonde bob. I'm ready to hear what she has to say as it pertains to the comments that she's made about Chrishell's parents, right? Because if you remember, during the season, you know, her and Chrishell got into it at Girls Giving, and Nicole said, you know, you're calling me a drug user, and I think you have me confused with your parents, and essentially all hell broke loose. Now, when Nicole is asked about why she made these comments about Chrishell's parents who are deceased, she says that she said what she said because she was being accused of doing drugs again, and she wanted to show a pattern of projection. Crishell, for these past couple seasons, have always accused me of doing drugs, and so I feel as though she's projecting her parents' past substance abuse problems onto me. And so I wanted to bring that to the forefront. What do y'all think about that? Nicole also wants to make it clear that she never said the words dead parents. That is a very big point for Nicole. She wants to make it clear. She's like, listen, I ain't never said dead parents. I just said, I think you have me confused with your parents. Okay? There's a difference. That's kind of how Nicole was. There's a difference. Then Amanza jumps in and says, even if you're backed into a corner, going below the belt is disgusting. Chelsea jumps in and she's like, where is the humanity? Mary is like, you know, drama was one thing, but that was like honestly and truly mean. Then, you guys, this is where Amanza had me messed up. And y'all know what I really want to say. This part had me messed up. And I want to know, if you're watching this right now, please jump down in the comments and let me know your thoughts on this, like genuinely and truly, right? Amanza suddenly says that she doesn't think that Nicole is an addict. She admits that this is something that she had heard from multiple people. She had heard this rumor, this story from multiple people, and she ran with it.
And I took it as though it was a fact.
Nicole asks her, have you ever seen me do nose candy? Answer, honestly. And Amanza says, I don't think I have. And then she keeps on repeating, you know, I heard it from multiple people. She says, you know, I'm sorry you felt that way. Like, it's very, I'm sorry you felt that way energy. And the whole thing is very, very, very strange to me. At this point, from now on, Amanza, everything that you say on Selling Sunset will be looked at sideways. You proclaimed that not only Nicole was an addict, that almost overused, you then claimed that you had used with her. So, Nicole never used, according to you. You never saw her use, but you told us, the audience, that you was using with her. I want to ask the audience, the revolution, hi everybody, was Amanza clearing her conscience? Was she being honest? Or is this Amanza feeling as though she has to take the fall for making these comments on camera, because a comment like that, like the ones Amanza was making, these are the kinds of things that will hurt your business. Real estate is a very, I feel like, as the person that's not in real estate, a very person-to-person business. You know, you hear something bad about somebody, girl, your credibility is flushed down the toilet. I don't know if Nicole, sent out a cease and desist. I don't know the story. I don't even want to, but I thought it was very interesting how Amanza was like very passionate and very adamant about Nicole being an addict and her using with Nicole back in the day. She was making it seem like, well, girl, we all used to get down. And now on the reunion stage, the reunion's already strange. Now Amanza proclaims that she's lying. She never saw Nicole with her own eyes do this, and this is a rumor that she decided to bring on camera to what? To smear Nicole because you didn't like what she said about Chrishell's parents, right? Is that the truth, guys? I feel like that's the truth. Allegedly. What do you guys think about that? Is it the truth or a cover-up? Let's move on. So we get the girls and Tan trying to get Nicole to apologize for the things that she's saying to Crishell. And for whatever reason, Nicole doesn't really want to take accountability. She doesn't really want to apologize. It's very much, I'm sorry that the intent taken away from it was negative, which, if y'all might not know me, but as someone that enjoys a good reality TV docuseries, if you don't know how to take accountability and you don't know how to apologize, you won't be around very long, in my opinion. And you need to be able to apologize in a way that satisfies yourself, the other party, and the audience. And I feel like, and it's okay if this was her thought process, I feel like Nicole gave a very self-serving apology, and I was unsatisfied as an audience member because I want more for Nicole in the context of Selling Sunset. I think Crishell was unsatisfied. I don't even know if Crishell wanted the apology actually, but it just felt unsatisfying all around. And then it was like, Nicole, if you're not even gonna take accountability and apologize, girl, get your ass off the stage. And with that, Nicole and her blonde bob were gone. Nicole was up there for about 5 minutes. And based on what we saw, I felt like production, Tan France, and the ladies, and like Crishell especially, giving her all kinds of doggy bones to just say sorry. Sometimes it's just about just saying sorry. You don't even gotta mean it, Nicole. Like, you could have just said sorry so that the next time one of the fans is on you in the comments, you could be like, well, I said sorry. What more does Crishell want? You couldn't even give us that. So as a fan audience member watching, I was disappointed. The ladies were certainly over it. And with that, girl, you're moving to Nashville. The twins were saying, it was hard for them to fire her from the show, even though she still works there at the brokerage. And so it felt like we were wrapping Nicole's story up with a bow. And so, we move on. We get into a little bit with Bree, and, she chose her look on The Corpse Bride, and, she's not planning on having children anytime soon. But we do have to talk about Bree's Valentine's Day. They talk about the event, Bree had injectables, Mr. Chow. I mean, it really seemed like Sandra and Alana had a great time. Mary said she had fun after reacting to Chelsea's name on the table, which, Mary. Crishell didn't really see the invite from Bree as an olive branch, but Emma did. Emma just felt like it was just a better decision for her to be at the dinner with Crishell and Chelsea. Those are her people. That makes sense to me. Bree has asked if she cared that the other ladies didn't show up, and you guys know Bree is not really for the boo-hoo, the girls didn't come to my party. Like, that's very much not Bree. Bree was like, it was an event, for the ladies of the office. If they came, great. If they didn't, who cares? My day ones are here. So, Bree wasn't really caring too much. We check in with Chrishell and G, and they're still doing good. Unfortunately, they're having obstacles with fertility, Crishell, unfortunately, but they renew their vows every single year, and they're going to pivot and come up with a different plan. Speaking of family, I thought Crishell and Emma was like family, but that was until Blake came in the picture, girl. Y'all, Blake entered the scene and got the game all twisted up. let's get into it. Now, the last thing we heard about Emma and her real estate heir boyfriend Blake was that he proposed, Emma said no, and then they broke up. And Crishell was very happy about that. But since the show finished taping, it seems that there have been all of these events that have taken place, and Crishell and Emma, y'all, it's not looking good. It doesn't really seem like they're friendly anymore, and let's get into why. Now, Emma says that Crishell is like her sister, and Emma is upset that Crishell can't seem to get on the same page with her in terms of Blake, because Crishell does not like Blake because he's manipulative, immature, and controlling. According to Crishell, Blake belongs in the do not date pile, period. Emma confirms that she saw Blake the week before they taped the reunion, so to me, that says that they're basically back together. Emma said something very strange to me. She says that Blake doesn't always behave. Emma, now girl, you know we almost 40. You out here talking about some man that don't behave? Emma, we are too old to be dealing with men that don't behave. You are not that man's mother. See, you got me out here talking like Crishell. None of my business. Now, Crishell is out here saying that Emma would tell her all sorts of awful, controlling, and manipulative things about Blake. They would break up and get back together. And throughout all of this, like, Emma would flake on Crishell to go and hang out with Blake. In fact, this is the part that gooped and gagged me the most. Crishell really spilled the tea. Crishell said that her and Emma went to go see Beyonce. I love Beyonce. Let me get this gay. I love Beyonce. I've always loved Beyonce growing up. Destiny's Child. Shout out to Mama Tina, who I met earlier this year at an event with Disney. I love Beyonce. Y'all, when I tell y'all Crishell loved Beyonce, so her love for Beyonce is otherworldly. So I know Crishell was hot when this happened. Crishell said that she had went to the Cowboy Carter tour with Emma, and Emma had left 1 hour into the 3-hour show and told Crishell that she needed to fly to Boston to visit some family, only for Crishell to hop her behind on social media and see that Emma was in the Bahamas with Blake. Y'all, I wish I could have been in the room when Crishell opened up her phone, her laptop, or Emma texted her or whatever and was like, oh, I'm on the island styling, girl, sitting up here sipping from a coconut, girl. And on the reunion stage, Emma was looking crazy because Emma kept trying to like downplay it. Like, oh, well, girl, I told you I was going to the East Coast. Oh, girl, I told you I was going to the East Coast. Girl, according to Crishell, you were not making it clear that you were leaving the concert to go see Blake. And based on what Crishell was saying in the moment, she just kind of wanted the truth from her friend. Imagine someone you love being in a toxic situation where they are consistently and constantly being loved incorrectly, and you see this person as a shining star. Emma and Crishell, that's like Kenan and Kel, Batman and Robin, Carly, Shay, and Sam with the butter sock. Like, this is a classic duo. And you could see that Crishell was very hurt by the breakdown of this friendship, because how can you continue to be friends with someone that has harmful views against you and your community? So Crishell starts to break it down. Crishell says that, she posted and reshared to social media all sorts of, memes and jokes that Blake was sharing to his social media. He'd even called Crishell the B word and said that he might sue the D word, the eggplants, off of her. And I felt like, me personally, if you're my friend, Emma, and your man calling me a bit, and y'all still together, what friendship? That's me in real life. I don't know, the context of the show. I don't know. But in real life, if my best friend, partner, disrespect me, and my friend don't check their partner, and I mean check their partner. If I'm family and you just a man and you don't check your man, what do we have? What foundation of friendship do we have? My man ain't never gonna say nothing bad about my friends, period. And especially not publicly, and especially not on no platform when the Redditors, shout out to my Redditors. The Redditors is looking, be careful what you do. Be careful what you say.
Be careful what you do and be careful what you say.
Because the cameras, they're picking up everything. Like, girl, Blake should not have been embarrassing, because if Blake wouldn't have been embarrassing, immature, and offensive, Crishell would have never had to take the steps necessary to distance herself away from Emma and the relationship. And then here's a part, I gotta go off script for a minute. Then there was a part in the reunion near the end, and this is the part that I really didn't like. And especially, Alana, you tried it, because you've been silent all season. And I saw you tried to get in there and make sure you kept your keys when you tried to jump in there and lash Crishell. Let me explain something to y'all. And this is from me to you. Stay with me. I don't like friendship stuff being brought to the internet. That's a really big pet peeve of mine. Hold on. I really don't like social media stuff I don't like friendship stuff being brought to like, if we fall out, girl, you don't need to go to social media and be like, this is what he did, XYZ, this is what I did, XYZ. Like, you don't need to do all of that. However, asterisk, this is a situation where I'll allow it, because you know the fans of Selling Sunset are always watching who's following who's blocked who's done this, who's liking on this, who's not commenting on this. I know if casually I'm noticing Crishell is not commenting on Emma stuff no more, I know the real crazies out there, no shade to y'all, are definitely watching to see who's unfollowing who's doing this, who's doing that. So when the conversation gets brought up, if Crishell can't even comment on someone's Instagram post without 4 comments being like, why aren't you and Emma friends anymore? Why aren't you following Emma? Or why aren't you commenting on Emma's post anymore? I haven't seen you and Emma out anymore. I think that it's fair for Crishell to answer that question. I think it's fair for Crishell to answer that question. Hey, her boyfriend, I'm perceiving him as having these views. This is what he did in my experience, and this is what he did in my experience. We're not close anymore. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm sorry. Y'all could lash me in the comments. I'll take it. I'll take my lashings. I think that that's okay. When is it enough? As a fan, I look at it as like, when is enough, right? I will say this. We get a little bit more context about Crishell and Emma's relationship as it relates to Blake. I mean, Crishell brings up the fact that Emma was calling her, whispering in the bathroom. What is going on there? And then Emma says that Crishell was not there for her. Based off of what we're learning, it almost kind of sounds like, Emma, who were you turning to if not Crishell? Because we're only hearing from Crishell that, you know, Emma is telling me all these awful things about the relationship, all these awful things about Blake, all these awful things. Girl, if I am helping you get yourself together and you keep running back to that man, at what point is enough enough? What point is enough enough? They even get into, very briefly, Amanza mentions that she was in a similar situation, and although Mary needed to take a step back, she's still supported. And we don't know the specific details of that, but she's still supported from afar, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with Crishell answering the question as to why her and Emma are no longer close, because the friendship is on the show. The friendship is on the show. Once you start making homophobic remarks or once you call me the B word and you don't check that man, all bets are off, period. I don't know what they was talking about on the stage, Alana and the rest of them. Why are you bringing it to social media? I feel like if someone were to call Alana or Mary the B word, they men would not be playing around with that. That's just my opinion. It was a little confusing for me to watch the second half of the reunion and for everyone to be like, Crishell, how dare you not support Emma staying with her homophobic, potentially supporting that red hat man, immature, no vegetable, no fruit eating monster. And I take the word monster from Emma allegedly calling Crishell from the bathroom. It doesn't sound like a good situation, you guys. It don't sound good. Now, Chelsea says that Crishell should take accountability for not being the friend that she wants to be while Emma was hurt. And so Crishell eventually apologizes for reposting Blake's stuff. It's not like Crishell was out there saying negative, awful, disparaging things about Blake. She just was reposting the content that he had already posted. So that's that on that. Emma said that she was feeling kicked while she was down. And I didn't really understand that either, because once again, at what point do you decide to make positive decisions for yourself? And I think Crishell said it perfectly. If you're ashamed or embarrassed to date someone based off of their political views or how they decide to go about things, then you don't need to be dating them at all. Full stop. Something else that made my head hurt a little bit was the fact that Chelsea had to sit there and watch one of her closest friends defend her boyfriend's use of the N-word. Emma, Chelsea is supposed to be one of your closest friends, and you would rather lay up with someone that is going to sit there and argue with people over the fact that he's going to say the N-word in rap songs because his black friends say that he can say it? We're too old, bro. Emma too pretty, too successful, too fun, too funny. Her heart is so big that this is what you're going to settle for? But it's her choice. She a grown woman. She a grown woman, Chrishell. She a grown woman, but you don't have to support closely. And I think that that is the point. I hope that Emma and Chrishell are able to come back together, but I don't really see that happening until Emma and Blake split, unfortunately. And this is a common thing that happens in friendships. Sometimes that third party will force someone to make a decision. And sometimes it doesn't always have to be so all or nothing. In my opinion, I feel like it would be very difficult to remain close friends with someone that is dating to marry someone with such harmful views against me, my community, my partner. I would find it very hard to be close friends with someone that dates someone that supports those ideas. Doesn't it mean that you would have to agree? Let me know what you think in the comments. Bree doesn't think social media is the place to bring the drama, whatever. She tries to bait Chelsea a little bit, in my opinion. Chrishell pulls out these alleged texts from Bree. I guess Bree made some comments about Chrishell's partner, which were not good. One thing about Chrishell do not play about her partner, G. Period. It starts to get heated and people start walking off the stage and everyone decides it's time to break for lunch. I want to make a note that the cast of Selling the OC comes in. We see a preview of their new season and then, you know, they kind of interact with the Selling Sunset cast, but we're not focusing on them right now because this is the Selling Sunset Season 9 reunion video. If you guys want me to talk about Selling the OC, that new season that comes out, tell me in the comments and I will get my brain together to get into it. They come back from lunch and Romaine is there to join Mary. They replay the flower montage. I thought it was weird that Mary and Bree were kind of smirking during the montage, but that's neither here nor there. So Chelsea then opens up about her own robbery as a child, and she kind of connects it to Mary's confessional comment about being a single mom. And something that I thought was really important to note during this reunion as it relates to Mary and Chelsea. In my last video, I brought up, you know, Mary's misinterpretation of Chelsea's single mom comment. Mary was so angry, but Chelsea clarifies and she says that she doesn't get any support from her ex-husband at all. No child support, no alimony. And so when she says that she's a single mom, she means it. From the day that she filed for divorce, she has not received a single penny from her ex-husband. So she was being honest and genuine in that moment to me. I thought it was nice that Mary apologized, but you know Bree, that hard-headed Bree. Bree still says that she doesn't think that the flowers were genuine. Chelsea says that no one really gets to dictate how someone sends love when someone is going through a hard time, and I 100% agree. Mary says that the scene was shot right after her robbery, and she told production that she didn't want any funny business. So Mary is trying to paint the picture that she was very on edge the day that she received the flowers. And so she felt that not only was Chelsea trying to get camera time, but that she coordinated with production to sort of bring the flowers, to the forefront and have it be a whole entire blowout. And Mary was pissed about that. Tan kind of feeds Mary a question so she can talk about her trauma a little bit. I definitely picked up on that because, people were wondering why she had such a big reaction to Chelsea doing something seemingly nice. So of course she goes into, the robbery really affected her, which I know it did, you guys. A robbery is terrible. We've seen it happen on other reality TV shows before. I've had friends that have been burglarized before as well, but it definitely was a setup to leave us with the thought of, well, that Mary had been through a lot, and that's why she behaved that way, right? And basically, you guys, that was the end of the reunion, and I was famished afterwards. We didn't have no questions about why Mary reacted the way that she reacted at Bree's Valentine's Day after seeing Chelsea's name. There was not a bigger conversation around Amanza lying. Does Amanza get to keep her job for lying about one of the other agents having an addiction problem? And why were Mary and Bree giggling about the flowers if it was such a traumatic moment and a traumatic time in Mary's life? Like, I wish that there were more discussions had about some of the juicier moments, the more talked about moments of the season. However, when you film the reunion before you get to see the social media conversation, this is what we're left with, a very half-baked reunion that's very topical. It didn't seem very deep. It seemed very, let's get the job done. And that's just my honest review, my own opinion, sending love to Netflix, sending love to the cast of Selling Sunset. But I feel like if you are going to produce a show that causes this much conversation, then you have to do right by the fans and have the questions asked at the reunion so that we can get the answers, because I'm still hungry. I'm hungry. What did you think about the Selling Sunset Season 9 reunion? Did you love it? Did you enjoy it? Are you looking forward to Selling the OC? Tell me all of your unfiltered thoughts, conspiracy theories, and everything else down in the comment section below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Give this video a thumbs up, y'all. I would really appreciate that. That helps more people like us that love Selling Sunset find this video, and then we can keep talking about it. Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. I love you to death, you guys, and thank you for spending so much time with me. Don't you forget that the world keeps spinning, and so shall you. And I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.